lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Luz. I am a fantasy obsessed book lover, and on my channel we talk about all things books. This week I am back with a new video and we're going to be talking about every single series I have started or I'm in the middle of and whether I'm going to be continuing reading them or not. This is coming from somebody who has a terrible tendency of starting a series and not continuing. I am awful at this. And the reason why is because I'll start a series, I'll be really enjoying it, but then I get distracted. I get so unbelievably distracted by other books that I want to read and pick up, so I'll pick up something else. And then the next thing I know, months and months and months have passed me by and I've forgotten what was happening in the series that I started months ago, and then I just never get around to picking it back up again. So this, for me, is going to be the year that I really try and squash that habit and try and finish series that I've started and see them through to their end, because there are so many series that are supposed to be amazing as they go and the books get better, and I'm just never going to know because I never bloody finish them. So I'm like, Luce, hold yourself accountable, sort yourself out. So that's what we're going to try and do. Whether or not it works or not, I have absolutely no clue, but I'm gonna try. So grab yourselves a drink, let's get cozy and let's talk books. So I keep track of all the series that I've started on Notion. I've got like a little spreadsheet situation happening, and it keeps things, well, it's supposed to keep things in order, and it's supposed to keep like things organized in my brain so that I know where I'm at with everything. And it's also supposed to give me the incentive to continue with a series and to see it through. How successful that is, I cannot say, because so far it's not been working. But the intention is there. I'm just not feeling the effects from it, you know? So I don't know if you can see, but here we have like book series. These are the ones that are complete. And then as you scroll down, you can see ones that are in progress. There is a lot in progress. There's a lot. Now what I will say is that some of these series are in progress, not because I haven't finished them, but because we're waiting on the next book in the series. I never know what to do with those because I can't say they're complete because there's more books to come in the series, you know? So some of these I'm like in progress, but not because of me for once. We're in progress because we're waiting on a new book release. That is what's happening there. That's why we're on pause. So the series that are in progress because we're waiting on the books to come out, Crystal Bloom series. I have read book 1, 2, 3, and they have my whole entire heart and soul. And I lay awake, sleepless at night, wondering where our characters are, what's happening, are they okay? I need to know more, and I cannot wait for book 4, and hopefully we will have book 4 this year. But this is a series I will 1,010% be continuing. I loved every single thing about this series, and if it's one recommendation you take from me, please let it be this. It's so underhyped, but all I can say is read it, love it, enjoy it, soak up every single page, because you're gonna have an incredible time. Is it gonna pull on your heartstrings? Is it emotionally gonna make you experience a lot? Yes, absolutely. But is it gonna be worth it? Without a doubt. No brainer. Yes, yes, yes. And that's how I feel about carrying on with this series. It's not even a question. Of course, yes, 1,000,000%. And of course, from the same author, we have got the Moonfall series by Sarah A. Parker. In case you can't tell, a huge mega fan over here. Yes, I will be carrying on with this series. We're waiting for book 2 to come out in October. I cannot think straight for wondering about where this book is going to take us, where we're going to go with this world. What Sarah has got conjured up for us in book 2, I cannot wait. I am breathless at the thought of book 2. I cannot even begin to put into words how excited I am. Like, this is the epitome of reading. This is how reading should make you feel. I cannot think of anything that would bring me more joy than reading book 2 in this series. A series that we do not have the next book for as well is Quicksilver. Book 2 comes out this year. I could not be more excited. I can't wait to dive back into this world. I cannot wait to have more of Kingfisher. This whole book right here, chef's kiss. No notes. Yes, I will be continuing this. Absolutely. Another series that's in progress but on pause because we don't have the next book is the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros. I read Onyx Storm last month and it ruined me in the best possible way. That was a 5-star read. Every single book in that series has been a 5-star read for me. I live, eat and breathe that series. It can do no wrong. I don't actually know how I'm gonna recover from the ending of Onyx Storm. That did a number on me, and it's still doing a number on me right now. I have not been okay since I finished that book, and I do not know how I'm gonna be okay until I have book 4 in my hands. So will I be continuing that series? It's a no-brainer. of course. Another series that I am also waiting on another book from is a series by Scarlett St. Clair, and book 1 is King of Battle and Blood and book 2 is Queen of Myth and Monsters. I read this years ago and I loved it. Loved it so much. It was so easy to consume, super fast paced. It was just really a fun, good time that didn't require any brain power and that I flew through. And I remember just being like, oh, I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Was it a literary masterpiece? No, but did I have an absolutely fantastic time reading it? Yeah, I did. And we have been waiting on book 3 for the longest time. The longest time. I think I'm probably going to have to reread book 1 and book 2 by the time book 3 comes out, just to refresh my mind. I'm seriously looking forward to book 3 in this series, so this is one I'm definitely going to be continuing. Now let's move on to books that I have started that do have potential books out and available for me to read, and I just haven't continued with them. Let's talk about those and let's talk about the reasons why. And let's see if I can try and find some accountability for myself to potentially finish some of these series. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. This is a 6-book series. It's a King Midas retelling. The books get better as they go. It has actually one of the most underrated male main characters. Truly, that man deserves so much more love than he gets. I have read book 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Book 6 came out last year. I was excited to get to book 6, but I just haven't. I'm trying to think. What happened in book 5? This is probably the reason why I haven't carried on with this series. I love the Plated Prisoner series. Love the whole concept, love the characters, love the dynamic, love how the plot develops. Book 5 wasn't my favourite. I don't know whether it's because of the time between book 4 and book 5 and how long it kind of felt like it took. The story wasn't as clear and as fresh in my mind as I would have liked. And so I guess in a way, in the back of my mind a little bit, it makes me not as excited to read book 6 as what I could be. However, I do love this series and I do really want to see how the whole thing concludes, because book 6 is the final book. So I'm like, okay, I need some clarity, I need some closure, so we need to finish this series actually. This is a kind of a must. Next on my list is the Sacred Stone series by Kate Golden. Easy to consume, fast-paced, action-packed kind of fantasy with a little sprinkle of everything that we typically love in those. Read book 1, loved. Read book 2, also enjoyed. I have book 3, A Reign of Rose, on my shelf. So why haven't I picked it up? Why? You've got one book left. What is wrong with you? One book! Just finish it, Luce. Just finish it. I feel like this is going to be a bit of a theme. A little bit of a theme for me. Okay, so a series that I do not hear people talk about very often is this, The Isle of the Gods by Amy Kaufman. When I picked this up in the shop, it had like one of those recommendation cards on which said unputterdownable, and this truly was that. It was unputterdownable and I loved it. I had such a good time reading this. Book 2 came out recently. I have forgotten every single thing that happens in this book. That's just me being completely transparent with you. I just need a refresher. That's all that is holding me back from continuing with this series. And I know that this all takes place mostly at sea, on boats and ships and all that kind of stuff. I really remember loving our female main character in this. The love interest situation kind of keeps you on your toes. I remember those 3 things. And I just remember thinking, why is this series not talked about more? And also the other thing for me is I'm kind of wondering whether there's going to be a book 3. I haven't looked into it yet. And if there is going to be a book 3, what I probably will do is wait until the 3rd book comes out and then I can read book 2 and book 3 together. Basically, we're just going to hit refresh and then we're going to dive into this world again because it's brilliant. It really, really, really was so good. Okay, a recent read for me is The Witch Collector by Carissa Weeks. I really thought this series was going to become my entire personality and I could not have been more wrong. Found this first book to be a chore. I really did, and it pains me to say this because I fully had my heart set on loving this series and I was just so severely disappointed. I have heard that book 2 is sensational, like truly to the point where I've had people screaming at me over on TikTok just to carry on, just to make it to book 2 because it's worth it. It's worth it and I'll fall in love with it. And it does kind of make me want to carry on with it, but this book for me was just a chew. It really was a chew, to the point where I was like, please, can we get out of the forest? Can we move past the locations? Like, show me something else. Give me something else. I felt like they fell in love too easy. It was far too easy. I just didn't connect to the world or the characters or the romantic interactions in any capacity. And so therefore I was just like, do you know what? This was just so middle of the road for me. Life is too short to not be enjoying books and to not be having a good time with things. I do want to be a little bit more ruthless this year. So will I be continuing this series? I'm gonna say no. I sadly will not be. But if you love this series, I love that for you so much. And do not be put off by my experiences with this, because so many people that I know absolutely loved and enjoyed and had the best time with it, and you might too. So it's still definitely worth picking up. Now, this is kind of embarrassing actually. I read Kingdom of the Wicked maybe like a year and a half ago. Yeah, it's been forever and I really enjoyed it actually. I keep thinking to myself, Luce, you loved book one. I had a great time. It was a really promising start to the series. I really enjoyed it. I really wanted to know more. I really wanted to carry on. I literally have got book two and book three on my physical shelf. I have it on my physical shelf, so tell me why I haven't continued this series. Tell me why. It's giving witches, it's giving princes of hell, it's giving dark, it's giving spooky, all those kind of things that I love. One of the reasons why I really want to carry on with this is because I've heard Throne of the Fallen is supposed to be amazing, but I think you need to read this full series in order to understand Throne of the Fallen and to enjoy that book to its full potential. So I know I need to carry on with this series. I really enjoyed book one. We just need to make it happen, and we're gonna make it happen. We are. Now, this next one might be a touch controversial, and again, I do just want to say, if you love these books, I love that for you so much. I truly do. Reading is subjective. We all have our own experiences with reading, and that's what makes reading so beautiful. I hate to say that I did not love these books. I didn't. Powerless, read, very middle of the road read for me. It felt too similar to The Hunger Games, that every single time I read anything, it was just taking me out of the plot. I was like, I'm just not feeling it. It feels like a copy and paste. When Reckless came out, I was in two minds about whether to pick it up and give it a try, because I thought, I didn't love book one, why would I carry on with book two? But the reason why I read book two was because I wanted to see if it steered away from the Hunger Games narrative and found its own feet a little bit for me, and if it did, maybe I'd enjoy it, maybe I'd love it. It was such a flop. I know Lauren has come out and said that this is a filler book, but it truly is. Nothing really happens, so I didn't enjoy book one, didn't enjoy book two. I'm definitely bloody not going to be carrying on with book three. It's just not for me, and that's okay. That is more than okay. The next series I want to talk about is The Kingdom of Lies by Stasia Stark. I have read A Court This Cruel and Lovely, loved. A Kingdom This Cursed and Empty, enjoyed. A Crown This Cold and Heavy, loved. The fourth and final book in the series, A Queen This Fierce and Deadly. So I've only got one book left to read of this series, and I really enjoyed this series. I loved it so much. It's everything that I love in romantasy. You've got fae, you've got spice, you have got fast-paced, action-packed twists and turns, filled with strong, fierce female main characters, which I love and adore. It's got a found family too, and the found family is so good. There's so much to love about this series, so I will definitely be continuing. Again, we've just got one book left to go. All I need to do is just pin myself down and commit. This next series, I actually need your help with, because I am unsure about whether to continue this one, and it is the Gods and Monsters series by Amber V. Nicole. The Book of Azrael I actually enjoyed, but I can't remember whether it like blew me away. I just can't really remember this book. Do you know what I mean? I know that she's the villain, and that is a really cool concept, and I remember being like, oh, I love this dynamic, I love the power play, I love how the roles are reversed. It's keeping me on my toes, but aside from that, I'm coming up blank. It therefore makes me a little bit reluctant to pick up book two and book three, because if it didn't leave that much of an impression, then I'm like, what's the point in carrying on with book two and book three? I need you to let me know whether this is a series I need to carry on. Is book two amazing? Is book three amazing? What's the verdict? Have I got amnesia? Am I okay? Am I having a midlife crisis? Is that what this is? Maybe. But yeah, I don't know guys. Do I carry this on? Do I not? Let me know in the comments. Then we've got the Awakens series by Elise Cover. Am I going to carry this series on? I got to book three, so with this series we have got Awakens, Fire Falling, Earth's End, and then there's two more books. There's Water's Wrath and Crystal Crowned. I enjoyed this series. You've got a library apprentice, a sorcerer prince, and an unbreakable magic bond. You have got found family, you have got political intrigue. Enjoyed this overall, but it never really went past a 4-star for me with any of the books. I can't see myself carrying on with this because so much time has passed. I read this in January last year and it's been over a year now. And I'm like, if I was going to finish this series, surely I would have by now. I haven't had anyone say book 4 and 5 are like the most incredible time of your life. You absolutely have to need to read these. And so therefore, if I'm being brutally honest, which I need to be, am I going to carry on this series? No. But did I enjoy this series? I did. Now, the next series we're going to talk about is Ledge by Stacey McEwen. I read this last year and I loved it. Loved it so much. Took it on holiday with me. Read it and immediately was like, the cliffhanger to end all cliffhangers. I absolutely need to know what happens next. How could you do that to me, Stacey? So I ordered book 2. But then what happened was I was on holiday and I had my Kindle with me. So I read other books from other series and started other things. Arrived in the post a couple of weeks later, and by that point, it was too late. It was too late for me to pick it up because I was invested in other things. Other things were taking up my time and my attention. So this got put on the back burner, and it has been on the back burner ever since. And I keep looking at it all the time thinking, when am I going to finish this? When am I going to pick it up and read it? Because Valley, which is book 3, is also out now. So I can finish the entire series. I can do it. It's within my grasp and I really want to, and I'm going to. So will I be carrying on this series? Yes, absolutely. It is a really, really great winter fantasy read. I just need to finish it. Yeah. The next series that I started was the Halfling saga by Melissa Blair. Guys, I will not be carrying on with this series. The reasons why. This book was a slog to get through. I just was so disconnected from everything that was happening. And it very much peaked and troughed. The more that it flopped, the more I was like, I cannot keep going with this story. I even think other people would have this kind of experience. I feel like this is solely a me problem and that so many people could read this and have a really good time. I did hear before I went into this, people say, oh, it gives you the same kind of energy as Throne of Glass. I think saying that it's similar vibes to Throne of Glass is a stretch. I really do. I can see why. You've got assassins, you've got that whole kind of strong, fierce female main character, but overall it just wasn't my cup of tea personally. It might be your cup of tea. Depends what you're looking for. I think you need to be in the right frame of mind for this read in order to have the best possible experience. So am I going to be carrying on this series? No, I'm not. Another series that we have started is The Bridge Kingdom by Daniel L. Jensen. Read book 1, loved. Read book 2, also loved. And I know they're kind of broken up into duologies, so you've got like one duology and then you've got the next, but they're all in the same world, just focus on different characters. I have got book 3 and book 4 on my shelf and have not picked them up. I recently though have been feeling compelled to dive back into this world and to pick up with book 3 and book 4, so I'm hoping to do that soon. It's definitely a series that I'm going to carry on reading. This is an action-packed series from the get-go, from the first chapter. It's like, oh, okay, this is what's happening. This is the female main character we're working with. She's amazing, by the way. I love her so much. She's fierce, she's feisty, she's absolutely incredible. And I love the dynamic between our two main characters as well. That is also great. But the next little duology is based on 2 different characters. Now, I didn't have a whole host of strong feelings about these 2 characters, so I think that's probably why it's sat on the back burner a little bit. But it is going to be a series that I'm hopefully going to continue with soon. This is a series that I need advice on. We're talking Lilac by Alex Astor. I read this really quick, flew through it, had a really good time. I loved the magic in this. I love the world. I love how whimsical and magical and enchanted everything felt. I really, really love that, and that is definitely one of its main selling points. I love the whole concept. I loved that this didn't feel recycled. It really didn't. But one thing that I struggled to connect with was the romantic relationships and interactions that are happening in this book. I felt like it had the potential to be there, for me to feel the spark, for me to feel the chemistry. Therefore, that just meant I wasn't as invested in the characters and their romantic interactions as I could have been. And then the thing that holds me back from continuing with this series is that I've heard book 2 is the best of the series, but then book 3, yeah, we're talking major flop with book 3. And so therefore I'm like, do I carry on? Is it worth it? And the longer I sit on it, the less likely I am to continue reading. So this is a maybe. This is a maybe. Please let me know in the comments whether you have read this and carried on with the series, whether you think I should carry on with the series. Is it worth it? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. This series, Beast of the Briar, this is a fun time. This is why I choose fantasy. It's fun, it's not serious. If you are in a little bit of a book slump, I would recommend this series. I really would, because it's fun, it's fey, it's spicy, it's sexy, it's nothing serious, it's nothing groundbreaking, but it's just a good distraction from life, is what I would say. I read book 1 and I enjoyed it. Did exactly what I needed it to do. Didn't love book 2 as much. And so therefore we've put a pin in it and we've hit pause. Will I carry on with this series? No, don't think I will, and I'm okay with that. I'm not like sleepless at night wondering where these characters are, what they're doing. So therefore I'm like, yeah, I'm good with ending this here. Let's talk about this, shall we? Red Rising. Oh my good god. I read book 1, 2 and 3 and they altered the chemistry in my brain. I will forever be changed as a reader since reading this. Now, we have got book 4, 5 and 6 of the series to go. And obviously he's going to be releasing a 7th book as well. So there's that to come. And I hit pause because this world is intense. It's a lot. It requires a lot of thinking. You really have to engage your brain, but it is so worth it. Know that initially it was written as a trilogy, and then the next 3 books are 10 years after the initial first 3. So I was like, okay, I can hit pause here. I can hit pause here and we can return to this at a later date and we're still going to be able to enjoy it and we're still going to be fine. And that is definitely my intention. I will 1,000,000% be continuing with this series. We've just hit pause a little bit so that I can resume this series when my brain is ready and we're at full capacity to give this 110%. I did also hear that book 4 is a bit of a challenge. It's a little bit slow. It's a bit like book 1 was. Book 1 is a little bit of a slower book, and then book 2 and 3 are incredible, amazing infinity stars. And the same happens again with book 4. We're talking a little bit slower, a little bit more work required to get back into the world. And then book 5 and 6 will blow your mind. That is what I've heard. And that's what I'm hoping for. We're definitely going to be carrying on with this. Okay, the final fantasy series I'm going to talk about is The Song of the March by S.M. Gaither. I read book 1 and I loved this so much. I immediately was like, why is nobody screaming about this from the top of their lungs? Because this floored me. I loved it so much. It was fast paced. It was new. It was unique. The interactions between our main characters sizzled. It kept me on my toes. The magic system was amazing. Everything was just gorgeous. And everything that I love in a fantasy so much. I was like, wow, this feels fresh and new and I am eating this up. Why are we all not talking about it? Obviously picked up book 2 and I have it on my shelf. I have not started it yet. But the reason why I have not carried on with this series is kind of stupid in a way, because first of all, I have heard that book 1 is amazing and then it just goes downhill from there. And so it kind of, I don't want this to be the case, but the little voice in my head then that's like, I don't want that to impact the experience I'm going to have with this, and I feel like it already has. And I want to read this and form my own opinions and have my own experience of this world, and that's definitely what I'm going to do. So I will be carrying on with this series to see how I find it and what I think, because I very well may have a different experience of this world. That little tiny piece of information is in the back of my head and it's kind of making me reluctant to pick up book 2 subconsciously. I can't help it. I cannot help it. So I'm definitely going to carry on with this series, but I'm a little bit nervous / scared as to what kind of experience we're going to have and how the other books are going to compare to book 1. I'm hoping that it's not the case. I'm hoping that we love the rest of the books, but I guess time will tell, and the only way to find out is to read it and see. Now, there are a couple of series that I have started that are not fantasy that I'm in the middle of, and I thought we could talk about those as well. So we have got the Legacy of God series. Read book 1, love that. This is book 2, read book 2, love this. Didn't think I was a dark romance girly, but this is the series that is proving me wrong. I have absolutely no shame in saying that I love this series. I loved it, I love it, I love it, I am loving it, I'm continuing to love it. Apparently book 3 is a lot of people's favourites. And knowing who book 3 is about, I think book 3 could potentially be my favourite too. So we are definitely going to be continuing with this series. It's set at a university. It's all about powerful men. It's dark romance. There isn't really anything more that I need to say apart from read it. And finally, last but by no means least, we have got the Boys of Tommen series. Read book 1, read book 2, they absolutely annihilated me. Mind, body, soul, wipe the floor. Wipe the floor. The emotional roller coaster of all the emotional roller coasters is the epitome of those 2 books. Ugh. Anyway, I have book 3 on my shelf, Saving 6. I've just been mentally psyching myself up for this one because I know that Chloe's books, they pack a punch. They pack a punch, they take out your heart and soul at the same time, then piece them back together again in the most beautiful, heartbreaking way. This book is about Joey and Aoife, and I am excited to dive into their story and to see what happens with those two. So this series is definitely getting carried on. I just need to be emotionally in a good space to tackle this. Yeah, so I've just had a look at my shelf, and I think that's pretty much every single series I'm in the middle of. And I feel like this has been kind of healthy for me to go through, and a really good way to hold myself accountable, because there are quite a lot of examples there where I just need to commit. I just need to commit and get through them, and I'm gonna feel so much better when I do that. And I have got the closure of the story, the closure on the characters and what's happening there. It's a healthy thing for me to do. Just need to bloody do it. That's the goal, that's the message here. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. And as always, I will see you back here same time next week for a new video.